Hi, biologists. So today is Monday, May 11th. You are on the overview for Unit 3 revisions for your Capstone QPA. So let's go over what the Capstone QPA is going to look like. So it's a murder meal. So you have a case right here. So someone was murdered here. So central to identifying the victim who's committed the crime is establishing how the victim died and where the victim was the day of this crime, so that the detectives can question individuals who the victim saw that day. So from our last mini QPA, number 2, the tests that we are working with, the tests, the Buret, Sudan, iodine, and Benedict solutions that react with a specific type of macromolecule is really important here, because from testing the stomach contents of the victim, we can figure out what macromolecules are present in his body, and then which of these 3 places that he ate his last meal at. So right here from page 1, you have 3 different favorite restaurants of the victim. It tells us what he ordered. So what was his typical order here? And then it's up to you to tell me which macromolecules would you expect to find here. And same thing for each of these. So this is really important because this is how you're going to match what restaurant he was at, because based on the test that we perform, you'll be able to do that. Okay, first things first though, you need to tell me how he died. So it's determined that the victim was poisoned with this calcium gluconate, and it tells us it releases, it counteracts too much potassium in the body. So it leads to the cardiac muscle to slow down, and he eventually suffered a cardiac attack. As a result, oxygen and other nutrients were unable to travel through the victim's body. So determine the main body system that failed and connect this to how the failure of this system would affect the other 2 bodies. So we're talking about how the other 2, how our body systems are really interconnected. They really depend on each other. So tell me, 1, which body system is failing right here as a cause of this poison, and then how does this failure affect the other 2? Make sure you're reading all this. A lot of information is in just that short paragraph. Okay, finally, now you're going to, this forensic pathologist has removed the stomach contents of the victim. So you are going to analyze it in order to determine what his last meal was. So written below, this is again what our procedure is. You unfortunately cannot perform this procedure since we don't have access to the lab at this moment. So here is the 4 solutions. It tells you what to expect from a positive case, and then if you put it into the stomach contents and you don't see any change, then there would be no reaction. That's the negative result. So first you need to tell me what chemical test goes with which macromolecule. You should know this based on your last mini QPA, or just right here it tells you. Like it'll say Sudan red, it goes with lipids. And then you're telling me what a positive test result. So what would we expect if lipids are present in this man's stomach contents? What do we see? We would see that there is a dye that is red and shows the amount and location of lipids. And the negative result would be there would be no change. And then do that for each of these. And then here is an important part. So this is the data that was obtained from the victim's stomach. So once we perform these tests, this was the data. So the data observations are seen here. Your job is to tell me if this data, the observations, tell me if that macromolecule is present or not present. So you would just highlight 1 for present, circle it, bold it, whatever, write yes, present, no, not present, or vice versa, depending on if you think it's present or not for each of these. And that's really important because you're going to look at this data. So which macromolecules are present here? Go back to page 1 to see, okay, what are my 3 options? Which macromolecules would we expect to see if he ate at Red Rose Pizzeria, the barbecue, or the Italian restaurant? And then determine what is the most likely last meal that he had and at which restaurant to find out where he was so that they can question certain people that he came into contact with. And finally, lab analysis is basically you're just reporting your findings. So you're going to open discussion. So say where the victim was at his last meal, how you came to find that. So which macromolecules pointed you toward which restaurant, and then how you reached this conclusion. So even though we weren't able to perform the test, you have the procedure written here, and you have the different solutions here. to do that. So that's it for you guys. Good luck.